Great, wonderful. Today we're joined by Glen Gardner. What an amazing career again. Over 20 years from working from on board a cruise ship to running ports around the UK, and then moving on to working at the other ports and then in airports. Heathrow, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Tell us a bit more about you.
Yeah, well, I'm married and I've got 2 young children. Met my wife actually on the Oriana a number of years ago, so that was quite interesting.
Is that how you met?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow, okay.
basically we were both working on the Oriana. I was the tours manager, she was receptionist, and we kind of met and fell in love, and then came shoreside and got married. So
that's amazing.
So there's true love though, definitely.
Right, cool. Yeah. So, and your career itself?
So my career itself, well, 20 years ago this month, as you know, I decided to take the plunge and travel the world on board cruise ships. So it was only ever going to be for 6 months, just to see a bit of the world, because I had a travel bug after working in London and Windsor in the hospitality industry. And then I decided, let's go to sea, travel the world. 20 years ago, there I was working on board cruise ships. Thought I quite like it, so I decided that I would like to change my career direction and work in the purses department as a hotel manager, effectively working in the merchant navy on board the cruise ships, which is what it was as an officer. And from there, I ended up doing 5 years. Went initially for 6 months, ended up doing 5 years. Travelled the world, had some fantastic experiences, met lots of interesting people, not least my wife, and who would eventually be. And then, I had a fantastic time working.
And then you transitioned from on board the cruise lines to run the port services.
Exactly. So it was a bit of a transition, So working on board the ships for 5 years, you get used to a certain way of life, should we say, travelling all the time, living on board. And being away from home. But then I decided, 5 years, time to settle down. Had met my wife, and we decided to settle in Southampton, the home of cruising, of course. And I worked for Carnival for a couple of years in operations and customer services, and then that led me working in the Port Authority, ABP, in Southampton, which basically was another career change for me, having worked for a cruise line, the same cruise line for a number of years, ashore as well as at sea.
So that's your second transition?
Basically, I'm working for the biggest ports group in the UK with 21 ports, ABP. I had a fantastic time managing cruise terminals, 3 of the 4 terminals in Southampton.
So you've done Southampton, Liverpool, the big ones, right?
Yeah, so I worked in Southampton initially, and then I was headhunted by another company to work and lead.
How interesting.
And to basically then lead their operations in Liverpool, Portsmouth and Southampton, and some car parking operations up in Oban in Scotland as well. So so it's been an interesting journey.
And then you made a shift from running ports to airports, right? So it's the same environment, but it's quite an interesting shift itself, because I've done kind of the same thing as well, moving from running ports to the military, and then moving on to running businesses around the cruise services. So what was the shift for you, transitioning from port services to airport terminals?
So the ports and the cruise industry was great, and I did that for quite some time, as you know, nearly 18 years. But then I decided I needed a bigger challenge. I wanted to develop myself and transition from being a kind of middle management to a more senior management and have control of a contract. So I applied for a job at Heathrow Airport. And
busy airport as well.
The world's busiest airport, Dubai might argue that they are, but
so is it from ABP Airport, here in Southampton, to now going to Heathrow, to variously busy terminals?
Yeah, pretty much. So there are transferable skills. So what I thought was actually, it's all about customer services. I've worked with ships, with passengers. Why can't I work with aeroplanes and passengers in the terminals, which I was used to. And so I thought, we've got transferable skills there. Let's give it a go. I applied for the job. I got the job, and I had a great time learning new skills, as well as leading a huge, very diverse team at Heathrow. And having that responsibility for a multi-million-pound contract was just what I really wanted.
In terms of moving people, I know down here in Southampton we move about 2 million people a year. Surely that must be triple at the airport.
Well, Heathrow throughputs probably last year touched nearly 80 million passengers. The big difference that I found obviously was in Southampton.
All 3 terminals at Heathrow 2, 3 and 4?
2, 3, 4 and 5.
Right, 5, yes, of course.
So there is 4 terminals operational at Heathrow at the moment. There will be more in the future. But yeah, it was basically, the big difference was cruising is not all day every day. As you know, the ships come and go on a schedule as and when. Airports, it's all day every day.
Wow.
So that was the big change and the big challenge. But it was a good one that I really embraced.
Okay. So Glenn, I know you've been through my book, Livers Leaders.
I have.
And one of the things I talked about in this book is how to be comfortable getting uncomfortable. So you've done that 3 times, probably more. So moving from the port to the terminal, airport terminal, that's has been quite a good a shift for yourself, because you're leaving your career behind from the cruise environment, going to gain more experience and use your leveraging what you've learned from working around ships to now planes.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
It was a big transition, that's for sure. It was a big challenge, and but it was one that I was brave enough to take, and I'm glad I did, because I have learned a lot doing it.
Right, okay.
And I think I always like to challenge myself all the time. I think, you know, the Levers to Leaders book is a great tool to read, to learn as well. So it's about continuous development in oneself. And I found that by continuously challenging yourself as well, it's good. It's good for you. You're learning new things, you're meeting new people, and you're progressing with your career as well. So each step is a progressive step.
Progression. So the industry itself, tell me more about how is the career industry in the port or even the airport changing over the years?
It changes. I think it has to develop all the time. I mean, on the cruise side, it's certainly fairly static in regards to the way it operates. Technology slowly coming into it and improving things, certainly from the passenger side of things, which could see potentially a reduction in the staffing numbers there. At the airport, again, the challenge there is people. It's all about people, that human touch. So the contract that I managed at Heathrow was all about passenger ambassadors and people having that human contact with them, because these terminals are big, scary places for a lot of passengers coming through,
of course,
so we have people there to make sure that the journey through the airport, like the cruise terminals, is smooth and as friendly as possible, putting that human face to it.
So the biggest challenge is people.
It's a people business basically. I'm very much a people person, always have been.
That's great.
Both from a customer service perspective and a people operational perspective as well. But the challenge is with companies that go out and have to contract big numbers of staff to deliver a service to their client, it's very, very tough. The margins are very, very tough. Competition's very, very stiff as well. And I think it's about getting the people into your business, getting them trained, getting them recruited, trained and deployed at pretty much minimum wage is always the challenge. So in this day and age, there's high levels of employment in the UK, and so recruiting people is a challenge, both down here in Southampton and at Heathrow, because people.
So retention is difficult, right?
Retention is difficult because it's a stepping stone for a lot of people. They come in, they think, we can do this for a little while, and then we'll move on. And so there's a big turnover. Well, say big turnover. There's a turnover of staff that is challenging all the time.
And I suppose over the years you've seen quite a lot of shift as well in the way recruitment firms bring people in. For example, with the 0 hours contract that we have nowadays, the gig economy where people can come in and out when they want, that surely must not be an easy task for any HR manager in any of these environments.
See, in the cruise and ports industry, you'll find a lot of people are pretty much on a 0 hours contract. Or a minimum hours contract. And they can pick and choose when they want. So they are contracted, not on a full-time basis. And the challenge there is getting the people to work and trying to fulfill the numbers of staff that you need for any set cruise ship operation, because of course, you know, the allocations team are phoning them up, trying to get the numbers to come in to work on the cruise ship, and a lot of people said, no, actually I don't want it today, and you can't do anything, contractually. The difference at the airport, and that's with the cruise side, that's because of the nature of the ad hoc nature of the work. It's not all day every day like we just said. The airport is a bit different.
It's about how many ships do you get a year in Southampton?
In Southampton, there's over 500 this year,
Okay,
as
right.
there was last year, which
Right.
Southampton today is the busiest turnaround port in all of Europe.
Right, okay.
And trying to maintain that, by delivering the service is an ongoing challenge for sure.
Right, okay.
At Heathrow, as an
Yeah.
example, though, it's all day, every day, like we said.
Yeah.
Staffing is equally as challenging, though, because the contract costs are so tight that you've got to
But sure,
pay the staff.
those people are permanent at Heathrow.
Most of them are permanent,
Right,
yeah.
because
yeah.
they're not on a
But
zero.
they come in, they work for a time, and
Right,
they move
they
on.
still shift.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right,
And so
okay.
it's all about people. It's all about trying to recruit,
Yeah.
maintain the people there. And you do everything you can. You train them, you inspire them, you reward them, recognise the good work that they do.
Of course, yeah.
The challenge is, though, you can do all of that, and of course we do.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is the hourly rate of pay.
Of
That
course,
is
yeah.
that is the challenge.
So tell us more, what have you learned from Leavers Leaders?
So I've learned quite a bit. It's a great read, as I said, and I think the best bits of the book are basically I like the bit about the ethics, the ethics, and learning about that everybody's different. You've got to be honest, and you've got to do the right thing all
Correct.
the time.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
also it's about pushing yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
It's also about the fact that you need to continuously improve and adapt, because
Okay.
the world we're living in today, it's becoming a digital world, and I think
Correct.
if you don't stay ahead of the game,
Right.
you're going to fall behind,
Yeah.
and you're going to be out of the
Left
game,
behind, okay.
essentially. Yeah.
Great. So what's next for you now? What are you planning on? What you are working on right now?
Well, I'm working hard at the moment on improving myself, learning new
Great.
skills
Okay.
and things like that. So
Yeah.
I feel that there's a career change around the corner once
Right.
again. I think
Wow.
it's time for another
Wonderful.
another sort of transition, if you like.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
I'm looking
great.
to come back closer to the South Coast.
Right, okay, yeah.
And but
Because surely commuting to Heathrow from the New Forest must not really be, it's quite a journey, right?
it's quite a journey, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, I've learned a lot in what I've done at aviation with Heathrow.
Right.
And I don't believe there's too much more I can
Right.
learn in the
Of
current
course.
position. So I think,
Yeah.
you know what? I've learned pretty much all I want to learn.
Yeah, yeah.
I can bring those skills and that knowledge
Right.
back
Love
to
it. That's
ports and
great.
crews, perhaps.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I might look at a
So
running
you're
business.
looking for a new challenge. That's amazing.
challenge,
It's great to hear that.
yeah.
Wow, wonderful. Glenn, thanks for coming here today.
Pleasure.
Nice to
yeah.
have you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sam.